What if getting older didn't mean giving up? What if the aches in your knees, the tightness in your hips, the stiffness in your back weren't signs of age, but signs of something else entirely? Why is it that in parts of Japan, men and women in their 80s still walk to the market, garden in the sun, and sit gracefully on the floor, while here, many of us are told to slow down, sit more, and just accept the pain? Have we misunderstood what the body truly needs after 60? And what if the first step towards strength wasn't in a pill or a gym, but on your plate? Today, we're going to explore the quiet strength of Japanese elders, the foods they eat, the way they move, and the daily rituals that keep them walking tall long after 80. And most importantly, how you can start bringing these habits into your own life, one gentle step at a time. Let's begin. In America, aging often arrives with a quiet warning. Be careful on the stairs. Don't lift anything too heavy. Maybe it's time to take it easy. And so we sit more. We move less. And without realizing it, we begin to shrink, not just in posture, but in possibility. By age 60, many Americans are already feeling it. The knees that once climbed mountains now wince at a single step. The back tightens after tying a shoe. Long walks become short, then optional, then gone altogether. But here's the truth no one wants to say out loud. This isn't just aging. It's the culture of aging we've built, one that equates growing old with growing weaker, and worse, one that normalizes disconnection from our bodies. Now, contrast that with a quiet village in Japan. A woman in her 80s rises before dawn. She kneels beside her low table, sipping warm soup. She walks to the garden barefoot, hands deep in the soil. She doesn't exercise, she lives. And that life is a movement. The difference? It's not better genes. It's a different story about what aging means. In the West, we brace for decline. In Japan, they prepare for resilience. And that difference, right there, is the hidden crisis. Not that we're getting older, but that we're aging in a way that surrenders too soon. But what if there's another way? What if we could rewrite the story? Because the answer doesn't begin in the gym or the doctor's office. It begins with one powerful question. What if your body isn't failing you? What if it's simply waiting for a different kind of support? Let's take a closer look at the two paths we can walk, and why movement, not medication, might just be the key. Imagine this. Two women, both 72, both dealing with knee pain. One lives in suburban Ohio. Her doctor prescribes anti-inflammatories. Try physical therapy if it gets worse, he says. She goes home, avoids stairs, and rests more. She moves less. The pain, oddly, gets worse. The other lives in rural Japan. Her knees ache too, especially in the mornings. But instead of pills, she starts her day with warm miso soup. She squats slowly to tend to her plants. She kneels to prepare breakfast, and as she moves, gently but regularly, her pain eases, not vanishes, but softens. Two paths, same problem, completely different responses. In the West, we often reach for solutions that quiet the symptom. In Japan, they reach for rhythms that support the system. It's not that medication is wrong, it's that movement has become the last resort, when it should be the first habit. Why? Because the body wasn't built for stillness. It was built for motion, even slow, creaky, imperfect motion. Every step sends signals to your muscles, your joints, your brain. I'm still here. I still care. But when we sit too long, rest too much, and treat pain like a stop sign instead of a signal, the body begins to shut down systems it thinks we no longer need. Balance, flexibility, strength, all quietly wither, not from age, but from absence. And this matters deeply, because once those systems fade, the road back becomes steeper. So we have to ask ourselves, are we choosing stillness because it's healing or because it's easy? In Japan, elders choose motion not because it's painless, but because it's essential. Not fast, not flashy, just consistent. And that's where the true difference lies. So the next time pain whispers, don't just reach for a bottle, reach for movement, even a little. Because when we choose motion, we choose to participate in our own strength. And that starts with knowing the real cause of stiffness, which, surprisingly, isn't just time, but what time does to a body that stops moving. Let's look deeper. We've been told a quiet lie, that stiffness is just part of getting older, that creaky knees, tight hips, and aching backs are inevitable. But what if they're not? What if the pain we feel isn't just from the passing of time, but from how we spend that time? Science has a term for this, disuse atrophy. It means that when you stop using a part of your body, your muscles, your joints, even your posture, those systems begin to weaken, not because you're old, but because they're being ignored. And here's the twist. When muscles shrink, joints stiffen. When joints stiffen, we move less. When we move less, inflammation builds. And when inflammation builds, pain arrives. It's a cycle, and not an age problem, a habit problem. Let's take digestion, for example. Many seniors blame their bloating or sluggish gut on age. But often, the real culprit is a lack of movement and a diet that's lost its rhythm. Because when we sit too much, eat heavy, processed foods, and skip hydration, we're not just aging, we're accelerating decline. Meanwhile, in places like Japan, elders move because life requires it. They cook, garden, walk, stretch, not in one big workout, but in small, daily doses. And their bodies respond, not with perfection, but with preservation. This isn't about doing yoga or lifting weights. It's about how the human body is wired to work. Move it, and it adapts. Neglect it, and it fades. So the question becomes, is your stiffness a result of age, or of a lifestyle that forgot to invite motion? The good news? This cycle can be reversed. Gently, gradually, and without force. And the first step, surprisingly, doesn't begin with movement. It begins with the fuel that supports it. Food. Let's explore how Japanese elders use meals, simple, warm, intentional, to nourish their mobility from the inside out. There's something quietly powerful about watching an 85-year-old woman kneel to arrange her flowers, not because she's trying to impress anyone, but because that movement, slow, precise, grounded, is simply part of her day. In rural Japan, mobility isn't something you schedule, it's something you live. There's no need for treadmills or step counters. The steps are in the garden. The balance practice is in the kitchen. The stretching happens when hanging laundry or picking herbs by hand. Their homes encourage movement. Low tables that require kneeling, tatami mats that invite floor sitting, compact kitchens that demand gentle twists and bends. Even a simple act like getting up from the floor becomes a daily full-body exercise, activating thighs, glutes, core, and, most importantly, confidence. And these rituals, they don't fade with age. They deepen. Because movement here isn't framed as exercise. It's framed as care. Care for the home, care for the garden, care for the self. In the West, we often teach our elders to avoid effort. Don't strain yourself. Let me get that for you. And while the intention is kind, the effect can be quietly harmful. Because the moment we stop reaching, bending, lifting, walking, is the moment we begin to forget how. In Japan, movement is respected, not feared. Slowness is honored, not pitied. And repetition, those quiet, familiar motions, isn't boring. It's healing. These daily rituals are not heroic. They're human, and they add up. 1,000 small motions, each one a signal to the body, you still matter. And when discomfort does arise, the first remedy isn't always rest. It's nourishment. Because what keeps them moving isn't just the movement itself, but what fuels it. Let's step into the kitchen next and discover how Japanese elders use food as their first medicine. When pain sets in, most of us reach for a bottle. Something quick, something easy, something to make it go away. But in many Japanese homes, the first response isn't found in the medicine cabinet. It's found in the kitchen. Because here, food isn't just fuel. It's the first line of support for digestion, for inflammation, for mobility. Meals are built with intention, not excess, not restriction, just balance. Let's begin with the quiet champions of joint health. Small, oily fish, like sardines, mackerel, and anchovies. Rich in omega-3s, they fight inflammation at the source. In Japan, they're often eaten whole, bones, skin, everything, delivering not just healthy fats, but calcium and collagen, the very building blocks of strong joints. They're grilled lightly, paired with rice or soup. Nothing processed, nothing hidden. Next comes fermented soy, miso, natto, tofu. Miso soup is more than comfort food. It's packed with vitamin K2, probiotics, and gentle plant-based protein. In the morning, it wakes up the gut. In the evening, it calms the body. And then there's seaweed, wakame, kombu, hijiki. It looks simple, but it's mineral-rich and deeply nourishing. With iodine, magnesium, antioxidants, seaweed helps regulate thyroid, ease muscle tension, and even hydrate joints from within. Together, these foods form a trio of quiet power: anti-inflammatory, gut-friendly, bone-supporting. But here's the best part. You don't need to live in Japan to start eating like this. You just need to begin, slowly, gently, respectfully. It's not about perfection, it's about rhythm. Because a warm bowl of soup, a handful of greens, a few bites of grilled fish, they do more than feed you. They teach your body to trust itself again. And when you combine that with movement, even the simplest meal becomes a message. You're still capable. You're still worthy of care. So how do we bring this into our own kitchens? Let's explore how these Japanese principles of nourishment can be adapted to any lifestyle, starting with your next meal. Let's be honest. Most of us don't have time to prepare traditional Japanese meals. We live in suburbs, not seaside towns. We shop at supermarkets, not morning fish markets. But the good news is, you don't need tatami mats or Okinawan pickles to eat with purpose. You just need to begin with intention. Let's start with breakfast. Instead of toast and sausage, what if you tried something warm, gentle, and grounding? A simple miso soup with soft tofu and greens. Or a bowl of oats with ground flax, chia seeds, and a soft-boiled egg. The goal isn't to copy, but to translate. Choose foods that are soft on digestion, rich in fiber, and easy on the joints. Think steamed spinach with sesame, grilled salmon with pickled carrots, stir-fried mushrooms with brown rice. You're not building a meal, you're building resilience. Make your meals smaller, but more frequent. Use small bowls and plates. Let your eyes and appetite adjust. Eat slowly, no screens, just spoon and breath. This isn't a diet, it's a rhythm. In Japan, they say, hara hachi bu. Eat until you're 80% full. This doesn't just help digestion, it keeps the body light, the joints freer, the mind alert. Even snacks carry intention: a roasted sweet potato, a handful of edamame, a piece of pickled plum. No sugar rush, no crash, just steady support. You don't need to change everything. You just need to shift one thing, then another. Because the real nourishment isn't just in what you eat, it's in how you eat it. With slowness, with gratitude. with the awareness that every bite is an act of care. And when meals become rituals, healing doesn't feel like effort, it feels like home. But the impact of these choices goes beyond the kitchen. Let's meet someone who proved that firsthand. Not in theory, but in real life. Marjorie never thought much about her knees until the day they started keeping her from the garden. She was 76, living in Asheville, North Carolina. Once a vibrant gardener, she found herself watching the weeds grow taller while her own energy felt smaller. The stairs became harder. Crouching was painful. And mornings? They began with stiffness, frustration, and silence. Then, one evening, while scrolling online, she stumbled upon a quiet video about Japanese longevity. Not a miracle cure, not a sales pitch, just a gentle message. You don't need perfection. You just need rhythm. That night, Marjorie made a decision. Nothing big, just one change. She replaced her toast and jam with warm miso soup. It felt strange at first, but within a week, her digestion was calmer, her energy steadier. She added tofu and soft greens, then short morning walks, just to the end of the block and back. 2 weeks turned into 2 months, and one day, she bent down to pull a weed. Her knees creaked, but they didn't stop her. She smiled, not because she felt young again, but because she felt capable again. Marjorie says, "I didn't get my old life back. I created a quieter, stronger one." Her story isn't rare. It's just often untold. Because healing after 60 doesn't look like transformation. It looks like participation. One bowl of soup, one gentle walk, one moment of choice. And for Marjorie, the comeback didn't start in a doctor's office. It started in her kitchen, with intention, with care, with the belief that she was still worth showing up for. And so are you. Let's talk about that final step, the one that makes all this real, not just inspiring. Strength after 60 doesn't start with a gym membership. It doesn't start with a strict diet or a big life change. It starts with a whisper, a quiet choice, a single step toward yourself. Maybe it's choosing soup over cereal. Maybe it's walking to the mailbox even when your knees resist. Maybe it's saying, "I still want to feel connected to this body." Because dignity isn't found in speed or stamina. It's found in the ability to make your tea, to climb your stairs, to tend your plants, to live in your body, not just occupy it. So here's the invitation. Don't try to change everything. Choose one thing this week. It could be a new breakfast, or a few deep breaths before each meal, or simply sitting on the floor for 2 minutes. One thing. Done gently. Done consistently. Because the future you want, one of presence, autonomy, and quiet strength, isn't built in leaps. It's built in rhythm. And if that rhythm speaks to you, you're not alone. Here at the Miracle Leaf, we believe aging can be soft and strong. And we're here to remind you that it's never too late to begin again. Subscribe if this message resonated with you. And if you're ready to go deeper, we quietly recommend The Longevity Diet by Dr. Walter Longo, because your body is still listening. And every small, kind decision you make is a way of saying, "I still care." Start where you are. Even if that's tired, stiff, or unsure, let food be the first shift. Movement will follow, and presence will stay.